Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Silver. Our guest today is Jeffrey Tucker, the founder and president of the Brownstone Institute and author of The Market Loves You, Why You Should Love It Back. Welcome back, sir.
That's good to be here. Yep.
Yeah, it's always great having you come down to Wall Street Silver. I wanted to get you on to talk about the economy, what's happening with Powell, what's happening in the gold and silver markets. But I wanted to start off with gold. It's hitting new all-time highs, and people are super excited right now. What's going on? Is it central banks that are just buying up all this gold? What are you seeing right now, Jeffrey?
Last time you had me on, you asked me about the future of gold, and I said, look, just be a little bit patient. It's
Right.
going to be the safe haven in a coming financial storm, and that storm is happening now. So people do not understand this because, of course, inevitably, it's never in the headlines, right? But uh, and you and I have talked about this for about the past year, and I've predicted that the financial crisis would begin with a commercial real estate collapse,
Yeah.
starting with the bellwether of New York City, and that is happening. So the leases, as I explained, I think this time last year, the leases are in fact coming up for renewal for the commercial real estate markets. The place is riddled with crime. The workers don't want to go back. They still can't get people back to the office. So large scale commercial spaces are scaling back their footprint in the city. And that is impacting very directly on the mortgage holders for these large scale properties, most directly the New York Community Bancorp,
Hmm.
which came in last quarter 23 with lowered earnings and then some suspicion that they were underreporting their losses. And then sure enough, the stock got just pummeled, from
Yeah.
I think it was a high of $14, something like that, and was selling it for $1.83 before Mnuchin's owned fund came in. There were like four funds that came in to rescue this lender
Hmm.
with $1 billion infusion. But strangely, it didn't have a huge impact on the stock price of New York Community Bancorp itself. It went from like $1.80 to about three dollars and
$4. Yeah, yeah.
fifteen.
I seen
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, it's not as big as you would expect. But what's fascinating to me is the panic to throw money at this dog, uh, at which there's no chance that the commercial real estate market is going to somehow in New York is going to somehow magically turn around. If it's only going to get worse, so why
Yeah.
would these four well-connected, treasury-connected institutions uh, uh, be throwing money, at this place? And also, Bancourt itself went through a managerial upheaval and tossed out CEO and put in his place the former comptroller of the currency. So these people are all insiders, right?
Wow.
And they're all part of the same gang, the same sort of junta, financial junta that's running the country and really arguably the world. So they're throwing all this money at this one institution to stop contagion.
Right.
That's what's at issue. So they're kicking the can down the road. But there's no question that it's going to get worse before it gets better. So they're going to have to keep bailing out and keep bailing out. And at some point, they're going to have to go to the Fed, and the Fed's going to be working with them very closely. I mean, let's face it, the Treasury and the Fed are already working on this right now.
Yeah.
So you've got this growing financial crisis that's developing, which, in 4 years of upheaval, we've so far avoided a serious financial crisis. And there have been, several near misses, but there's no way it's going to be stopped at this point. I think it's going to develop really intensely before the election. So what you see in Bitcoin and the precious metals markets generally is a response by very savvy investors to what they believe is going to be a growing problem in the banking and financial sectors.
Hmm.
And by the way, this is why Powell is continuing to talk about rate cuts. This has nothing to do with the fact that he believes inflation is under control. In fact, if you look at the super core of the personal consumption expenditures index that the Fed likes to use, it just hit a high, a high over for 3 years, a
Wow.
3 year high. So this is the super core that the Fed watches. So the Fed knows for sure that inflation is not under control. So why would it be talking about rate cuts, knowing full well that it could exacerbate inflation and even
Hmm.
kick off another wave like we saw in the 70s, where we had three separate hills of inflation. We might have just gone through the first one. So why would the Fed be talking about lower rates still? And Powell once again emphasized this. He's like, wow, we're still planning on lowering rates. Okay, this is all about this is the Fed signaling that it's going to be there for the banking and financial system as the storm clouds grow and really things begin to go nuts.
Do you think Powell right now in his mindset is okay, do they have enough time to reduce rates? Like, what are they going to do it at a quarter basis at a time for over a year? Or like how fast it'll be if they need to really save the system, or if there's some bank collapses, the big ones, or
Yeah,
commercial real estate, and interest rates are too high for them to flood the system, what
right.
what happens? Do they just cut
So
rates by a point?
yeah, this is not going to be a calm policy-based rate cut. That
Wow.
will not happen. What's going to happen is that finally the financial instability is going to hit the headlines, and people are going to start getting scared. And at that point, Powell's going to do the same thing he did in March of 2020, which say,
Right.
oh, well, we're the cavalry to the rescue. We've got everything under control. Everybody calm down, burgle the money printers, and we're going to lower rates and make sure everything's going to be fine. And then everybody's going to cheer. And that'll last a little while. And that'll take us through, my guess is, in terms of timing, that'll take us through the election,
Right.
uh, which is obviously a very contentious issue right now. And then we're going to deal with another beginnings of an inflationary bout, probably midway through next year.
Wow, it's super interesting to see with all that happening and the issues at the Federal Reserve, Jeffrey, and then at the same time you have a continuous war in Europe, and I just seen a headline this morning about job numbers, there's so many layoffs, more layoffs right now. I think somewhere up till 2009 of just up to January. So what do you see there with layoffs and all the craziness going on?
With the jobs numbers that you're mentioning, it just came out again this morning. And,
Right.
I only need to see the headline God knows what the headline said, but it's always the same nonsense, and it's become like a routine. Every month when the jobs numbers come out, it's like, "Oh, here we go again." And so you click on the BLS, and they say, "Oh, everything's wonderful. It's great." And then you click on the charts and look at the household surveys and notice that the establishment surveys that are always reported as the top line number are double counting.
Wow.
Always the case. And so
Wow.
the household numbers show a net loss of 184,000 jobs. I mean, it's just so inevitable. It's boring at this point. So
Right.
the divergence between the household and the establishment numbers is growing. So we've got this huge gap, which we've never had in the history of these jobs data, and it's all designed to hide the fact that the government, the BLS, is double counting uh, 2, 3 part-time jobs as 2 or 3 actual job creations. So we're losing full-time jobs, gaining ever more part-time jobs. Uh, Labor participation is not increasing. We're still way below the for at least native employment
Hmm.
what we were at in pre-pandemic times. So, oh, and the other trick they use is that they report their highest estimate, and then another 30 days go by and they revise the numbers from last month, but everybody's bored by revisions. So
Oh, that's
what you have,
crazy.
yeah. So what you have here is government agencies and the Biden administration directly intervening. I have no question about this. They're directly intervening in the way these numbers are being reported and then controlling the press. Now, uh,
Hmm.
that's an important point because I mean, look, Wall Street Journal reporters are there because they have a certain level of competence. I mean, these people are not complete idiots.
Right.
So why are they reporting the press releases of the BLS rather than clicking one link below the press release and looking at the actual numbers? Why do they continue to do this? And it's because they're entirely kept by the agencies, which in turn are responding to the political priorities of the Biden administration. And people need to understand this. You cannot trust any business reporting now. That wasn't true
Wow.
5 years ago or even 10 years ago. But nowadays, whether it's GDP numbers or jobs numbers or inflation data, it's all gibberish. It's all nonsense. It's all being manipulated to achieve certain political outcomes, counting on the fact that Wall Street is stupid, and
Yeah.
or another way to look at it is the Wall Street only trades what they think other people think, so it doesn't matter what's actually true, you know? So and they're manipulating the system. And this is not speculation. This is what we've seen month after month. These agencies are all politicized. You can't trust the data collection
You're right.
anymore at all.
And you see, like you absolutely nailed it, Jeffrey. And it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, at the very end of the movie when at the end, Toto the dog takes the cover off and they see there's a man behind everything and it's all just a show and a game. When do you think that will happen? Like, how long can they kick the can down the road before it's inevitable? Like, they can't just stop lying. They can't keep lying about inflation numbers, job numbers, because if it is all a game and reality is way worse than what we
Yeah,
perceive it to be, then
right.
yeah, what happens
Yeah,
when the
I,
game's
I
over?
I understand your question. I mean, it's like the economic reality is the ultimate truth teller.
Right.
And that time is going to come. It's going to be like 2008, except 10x.
Jeez.
And it's hard to know. So one of the things that you'll notice is that the financial planners, I mean, or who are also at this point the censors and the cultural planners too, are very interested in a rising stock market, since vast amounts of American wealth have been forced into financial markets because otherwise, like health savings accounts and 401ks and all this nonsense is all designed to
Right.
prop up the stock market, because people think the stock market and the economy are the same thing. This is widely believed. And so long as that's believed, then the Fed's going to be very interested in seeing the rising stock market. And that could last for, I don't know how long it's going to go on, but my guess is it's going to last longer than it should.
Hmm.
But at some point, even that's going to, when the financial crisis hits full on, then Wall Street's going to start reassessing things. Will that happen before the election? My guess is not. That going into November, we're going to see the Fed's rate cuts start to take effect,
Right.
and the markets will still be rising. And this steaming pile of excrement will become very obvious starting in 2025 and following.
Yeah, it's starting to get like really crazy, especially in the precious metals market. We're watching gold and silver very closely and what Powell will do next. But Jeffrey, it's such a huge pleasure having you come down to Wall Street Silver and speak with everyone. As always, it's where could people connect with you?
I'm at brownstone.org. I'm writing there more often than I should, and then and then also I write every day for Epoch Times.
Awesome. Well, it's such a huge pleasure having you come down and joining Wall Street Silver and speaking about everything. And we'd love to have you back on in the future.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Talk to you soon.